犯规. Follow the crowd, and you will be prone to break the rules. Xiefeng, November 3, 2018. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. Everyone is like this, and so am I. This is a kind of vile psychology. If this psychology is put into practice, it will create unseen dangers for oneself, and one will be punished by it. Although in human society, the law does not blame the public, the mechanism of cause and effect, rewards and punishments of the Tao has always been divine punishments, though slow, are always sure. Therefore, we must guard our words and deeds against following the crowd. On the morning of October 30, 2018, on my way driving back from Vancouver to the Canadian branch of the new Oasis for Life of Life Echanuan, I was stopped by a police officer near a school in Coquitlam. The police asked me, "What is the speed limit here?" I replied, 30 kilometers. The police showed me the number on the speedometer. It read 46. The police told me, "You will receive a fine of $198. A just punishment. I am willing to be punished, because this punishment has corrected my consistent crowd mentality and behavior. I have traveled here more than a dozen times, and each time the speed of the vehicles in front of me and behind me is between 40 and 50. If I drive slowly, the vehicles behind me are following closely, and it is tantamount to urging me to drive faster. And seeing everyone driving faster than the specified speed, I am used to thinking it was normal for the speed to be between 40 and 50. Unexpectedly, in the eyes of the police, I made a mistake and must be punished. Knowing that it is incorrect behavior, but seeing everyone else doing this, I did the same. This is the herd mentality. Everything in the universe has been limited by norms, whether it is written or by convention, whether it is a heavenly rule or a moral ethic, things will always be restricted to a certain range, and there will always be certain standards for everything and every phenomenon to abide by. Lawlessness is definitely not allowed. We need to abide by the standards endowed by heaven and the laws of the world. However, because of the herd mentality, we give up the civilized requirements of observing the rules of heaven and the laws of the world. Even if we know that our behavior is wrong, we follow in the footsteps of the masses without restraint, just because everyone else is doing this. Thus, when we put our lives in the miserable, endless reincarnation of life, it is hard to return to our hometown of heaven. Life is divided into different levels. Different lives live under different laws. Insects, plants, animals, domestic animals, and people are different forms of lives, and their laws are also different. Humans should obey the laws of civilization. When we violate the laws of civilization and imitate the laws of behavior of the animal kingdom, we classify ourselves as animals. From this, it can be clearly deduced that the consequences of imitating animal behavior are that people must taste the bitterness of animals. The herd mentality and behavior are mostly the imitating of the laws of animals. A few dogs are chasing and biting a person. When other dogs see it, they will catch up to them and bite the person regardless of whether they are right or not. Similarly, if people do not ask the reasons for everything and do not analyze whether it is right or wrong, and their psychology and behavior are influenced by the words and deeds of the masses, there is no doubt that their psychology and behavior are not fundamentally different from those of animals. From this, we can see that the words and deeds of the herd mentality belong to the characteristics of lower-level life. Once a person follows the crowd, his life will continue to move towards the lower world. I remember that in 2006, there was a looting incident in the Chitungwais area of Zimbabwe, where a local supermarket called OK was looted. Most of the people who participated in the looting were very honest and dutiful at ordinary times, but they were involved in the looting because they saw that other people were doing this. I had a local shop there, and I was nearby at that time and witnessed the looting process. I was shocked by the crowd behavior and felt how terrible people's herd behavior is. In fact, herd behavior occurs frequently. The wave after wave of mass behavior in China are typical herd behaviors. Buying a car, buying a house, buying stocks, buying healthcare products, etc., all of which are the responses of the herd mentality. Judge style, revolutionary style posts are all acts of herd behaviors, and even the corruption of many officials is a reflection of the psychology of the herd mentality. Disasters happen in a turbulent place. All intense events hide disasters, and intense events are caused by people's herd mentality. It can be said that most tragedies are the result of conformity. It is easy for a person to follow the crowd when he has no direction and no goal to forge ahead with. It is easy for a person to follow the crowd when he has not systematically received the teachings of gods, Buddha, celestial beings, and saints. It is easy for a person to follow the crowd when he wants to achieve what he wants through speculation instead of through hard work. It is easy for a person to follow the crowd when he is poor and sick and lacks faith. It is easy for a person to follow the crowd when he does not have firm beliefs and always suffers setbacks. Following the crowd is easy. On the surface, following the crowd is the safest. However, once you follow the crowd, the quality of your life will decline. Once you follow the crowd, you will plant hidden dangers in your own life, and especially the journey of your life. Maybe at your turning point, a police officer will show up and give you a fine. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure. Big nets let nothing slip through. Everyone, one day, will bear the inevitable result of his words and deeds in the past. You cannot prevaricate it with the reason everyone is like this, so am I. In front of the Tao, each person is separate. In the human world, the law does not punish numerous offenders, but in the Tao, the law will punish the crowd and individual. How to avoid herd behavior? Let's use the teachings of Lao Tzu. The vulgar are knowing, luminous. I alone am dull, confused. The vulgar are clever, self-assured. I alone am depressed. 生命禅院的重点在西方. The focus of Life at Chanyuan is in the West. Xiefeng, April 1st, 2009. Edited by Qin Yu. Dear members of Life at Chanyuan, although the founder of Life at Chanyuan is from the East, and the starting point of Life at Chanyuan is in the East, the focus of Life at Chanyuan is in the West. This is not a conclusion drawn from the practical experience of Life at Chanyuan's development in recent years, but a message that has been made clear since the beginning of Life at Chanyuan. For years ago, in dialogue between Xiefeng and Jesus, it was clearly stated that because suffering begins in the East, we must first harvest the mature crops from the East. However, a large number of mature crops are not in the East but in the West. This information was also revealed in later articles, stating that only about 1 in 1,000 people in the population of the East are Life at Chanyuan members, which is approximately 3 million people. Africa is estimated to have only a few 100,000, and South America has only about 1 million. This means that there are only 5 million Life at Chanyuan members in Asia, Africa, and South America, while there are 69 million in Europe, North America, and Oceania. Xiefeng has had dealings with people from all continents and has had profound exchanges with people from North America, South America, Europe, West Asia, East Asia, and Africa. He has also had deep interactions with Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, and Communist Party members. Therefore, whether it is from the dialogue with Jesus or from social practice, it is deeply understood that the focus of Life at Chanyuan, as stated at the beginning of its founding, is in the West. The work in mainland China is coming to an end, and the information about harvesting crops has been released. Just like seeds planted in the ground, when the season comes, Life at Chanyuan members will grow extensively, and we do not need to put in more effort. The effort we need to make now is to strengthen and improve the existing Life at Chanyuan members, gradually eliminate those who are not suitable as Life at Chanyuan members through various tests. Currently, there are nearly 1,600 Chanyuan Celestials. After eliminating half of it, the remaining 800 are sufficient. The remaining 800 Life at Chanyuan members should get into the second home as soon as possible to establish a set of living patterns or programs for the Life at Chanyuan era. For those with an English foundation, it is now time to promote Life at Chanyuan in the West. We should not waste time and energy in the East or in Africa. One of the important projects is to quickly launch an English version of the Life at Chanyuan website and translate the Chanyuan content into English. From my recent conversations with several Westerners, I have clearly felt that the West is eagerly waiting for the arrival of Life at Chanyuan. The Buddha once warned, "Your eastern land is vast with towering mountains and expansive lands, abundant resources and a dense population, yet plagued by rampant greed and killing, deceit and falsehood, frequent cheating, and a lack of loyalty, filial piety, benevolence, and justice." More than 2,000 years have passed, time flies, and changes have occurred, but human nature has not changed much. As the embodiment of the Buddha, I am tired of teaching the people of this land and no longer have much hope. They are not kind, honest, diligent, or trustworthy, and are no better than animals. They can go wherever they want. As the embodiment of Jesus, I no longer have hope for the African continent. The people here are greedy, lazy, fraudulent, and deceitful. They sing the praises of Jesus, but their hearts go against his teachings. Evil runs rampant everywhere. Everything looks sad and desolate. My heart is completely broken. As the embodiment of the Prophet Muhammad, I am also desperate for the Muslim world. Purification must begin, otherwise, kind, honest, hardworking, and trustworthy people will have no choice but to live in agony and misery, without any hope for the future. No one can go against the will of the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator. No one can change the plans of the greatest creator. The blessings of the ancestor of Buddha, the greatest creator, have been bestowed upon the world. It is time for the celestials to go to the celestial world, the human to the human garden, the cattle to the cattle pen, and the pigs to the pigsty. As you sow, so shall you reap. There are no wrong lives in the universe. Respected Chanyuan Celestials, when we walk in the prosperous cities and when we see the glorious achievements of humanity on television, do not be blinded by the surface phenomenon. Do not forget that these are all illusions that can be easily shattered. The most powerful and vibrant things are within our consciousness. Let's revisit the warnings of the prophets. Those who focus their thoughts on the flesh will bring about death. Those who focus their thoughts on the spirit will obtain life and peace. Do not be troubled because of evildoers or have envy of sinners, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. You see those mountains and think they are strong, but in reality, they float like clouds. This is the miraculous skill of the greatest creator who created all things, and he knows everything about what you do. Whoever seeks rewards in the hereafter, I will increase their benefits, and whoever seeks rewards in this life, I will give them accordingly, but they will have no share in the hereafter. On that day, people will flutter about like moths, and the mountains will be like scattered wool. Whoever's scale is heavy will live a comfortable and happy life, but whoever's scale is light, their destination is the abyss. God looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek God. O company of jinn and men, if ye can overpass the bounds of the heavens and the earth, then overpass them. But by our leave only shall ye overpass them. Oh, Chanyuan Celestials, you must come together and coalesce like one person. Otherwise, you will be like moths fluttering about, either frightened to death or crushed by the difficulties and twists in the road ahead. Today is a beautiful day with gentle breeze and bright sunshine, but tomorrow is uncertain and there may be fierce winds and torrential rain that could turn the world upside down. A reminder to the world. Xiefeng, January 24, 2023. On November 17, 2005, I talked about some of the content of a dialogue with the greatest creator in When the Purification Begins, 100 million people will die. Since the world was indifferent to my warning and guidance and did not believe it, the greatest creator indicated that 100 million people will die within 1 year of human time, and then they will believe you. Did 100 million people die in 1 year? I can't find the exact data on the internet, so let's reason logically about whether 100 million people died within a year. According to various sources, the number of people infected with the novel coronavirus in mainland China has exceeded 80%. Let's calculate this conservatively, based on 75%, that is, 1 billion people who have been infected with this virus. According to public data statistics published by Tushio, the average death rate is 2.86%, so the number of people infected with the virus is 1.05 billion, and the number of deaths has been 30 million. Except for China, based on the calculation of 6.2 billion people in the world, the number of infected people should be 4.65 billion, and the number of deaths should be 133 million. This is the number of deaths within 3 years, with an average of 44.3 million deaths per year. Along with 30 million deaths in a 1-year period in China, the total number of deaths in 1 year was 74.3 million. Let's analyze how many people died from the natural global mortality rate from 2022 to January 2023. The average global mortality rate is 16.9 per thousand. Based on 7.6 billion people, 128 million people died. This is the number of deaths in the absence of special circumstances such as major epidemics and wars, and cannot be counted in the warning of, when the purification begins, 100 million people will die. However, many of these deaths, conservatively calculated at 20%, are due to the onset of basic diseases caused by viral infection but are not counted in the number of deaths caused by this virus, which is 25.7 million. Combining the two items, the total number of deaths caused by the novel corona epidemic is 99,988,000, which is close to 100 million. In addition, the deaths from secondary disasters caused by factors such as epidemic prevention and control, suicides by jumping off a building, being burned to death, being unable to be treated a timely manner, etc., this number cannot be counted, but it is at least not less than 12,000 people. In this way, from January 2022 to January 2023, the number of deaths caused by the novel corona epidemic alone has reached 100 million, which has already fulfilled the prediction that 100 million people will die first within 1 year. What will happen next? I have no idea. But one thing is certain. Human beings must change their traditional production and life mode and must begin to operate in accordance with the production and life mode of the second home created by Life-Genuine. If human beings continue to think according to the traditional way and continue to produce and live according to the traditional life mode, I will just tell you, bigger troubles are yet to come. 千万不要做你自己. Don't be yourself. Xiefeng. December 12th, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. As a guide to life and life, over the past 18 years of interactions with people since the establishment of Life-Genuine, more than 60% of Chanyuan Celestials have left Life-Genuine. Analyzing the reasons, every one of them leaves Life-Genuine due to their persistent desire to be themselves. The remaining Chanyuan Celestials have mostly lost themselves. They have only the greatest creator and the home in their hearts, but not themselves. If history proves that Life-Genuine is right, then the more than 60% who left are wrong. If history proves that Life-Genuine is wrong, then the more than 60% who insist on being themselves are right. However, as a guide, I still insist on this point. Don't be yourself. Jesus said to everyone, if anyone wants to follow me, he must deny himself, for whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Look, God does not require people to be themselves. Instead, he teaches people to deny themselves. See, Buddha Shakyamuni told Subhuti, the true bodhisattva is one who realizes that all things are devoid of self. The essence of Buddha's teachings is formlessness, and the foremost aspect of formlessness is no form of self. Look, Buddhism teaches us to be without self, not to be ourselves. What did the Saint Laozi say? He said, the saint has no invariable mind of his own. He makes the mind of the people his mind. It means that the saint has no self, and he even metaphorically says, the reason why heaven and the earth last forever is that they do not foster their own lives, so they can last forever. The essence of Laozi's teachings is no self, no action, no selfishness. Look, the teachings of God, Buddha, and saints all share a common point, which is no self. Do you still want to be yourself? I can clearly tell everyone that to advocate for people to be themselves or be myself is demonic. Being yourself is not what God says, not what Buddha says, not what saints say, but what demons say. In today's world, countries abound, religions abound, political parties abound, interest groups abound, nature has been devastated with scars, drinking water is decreasing, land is decreasing, food is decreasing, morality is declining. The number of hungry people is increasing. The number of refugees is increasing. The number of people forced to leave their homes is increasing. This beautiful planet, this beautiful home, has been thrown into chaos. What is the reason? The answer is, everyone wants to be themselves. Everyone thinks they are right. Being yourself and being myself are exactly what demons hope to see. The result of being myself will be unbearable suffering, and there will be regret. Demons will laugh and say, "You brought this upon yourself?" Tomorrow, the new era will enter its fifth year. At the beginning of the new year, give up being yourself. Become the children of the greatest creator. In 2018, I told everyone that humanity would go through a decade of hardship. For years have passed, and the following 6 years will be even more difficult. If you be yourself, you might not be able to pass through this difficult time. 肉身神佛先生在人间的悲哀. The sadness of the fleshly gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and saints in the human world. Xiefeng. February 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Who are the gods, Buddhas, and saints in the flesh in the human world? Answer. God Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, Saint Laozi, and Saint Deiform Buddha. When gods, Buddhas, and saints in the flesh appear among the crowds, their physical needs are no different from anyone else's. They need food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. They can also get sick and die. After Jesus died, Christians all around the world looked up to him, sang his praises, and honored his name. But how was the situation when Jesus was alive? Jesus said, "Foxes have dens, and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head." So, I ask all Christians in the world, if Jesus were still alive, would you provide Jesus with a place to rest his head? Today, Buddhists around the world look up to Shakyamuni Buddha, praising and venerating him as the Buddha. However, when the Buddha is present among you, would you be willing to offer him a bowl of rice? Consider what the Diamond Sutra says at the beginning, "Thus have I heard." Once upon a time, the Buddha sojourned in the Jetavana Park near Sravasti with an assembly of 1,250 bhiksus. One day, at mealtime, the world-honored one put on his robe, took his bowl, and entered the great town of Sravasti to beg for his food. He had begged from door to door. He returned to his place. When he had taken his meal, he put away his robe and bowl, washed his feet, arranged his seat, and sat down. Look, even though 1,250 people came to hear the Buddha's teachings, not one of them offered him a bowl of rice. The Buddha had to go door to door in the city, begging for his meal. As for Laozi, his contributions to humanity, especially to the Chinese nation, are immeasurable. However, when he was alive, who cared about his life and death? Where did he go? Why couldn't he stay in his hometown? Why did he have to leave the Honggu Pass? In his old age, how would he continue to survive? Did he have enough to eat, wear, and live? No one considered these matters. Deiform Buddha, the living saint today, created a theoretical system for humanity and established a completely new mode of production and life that differs greatly from tradition. People today might not fully understand his value and significance, but future generations will surely look up to him, praise him, and venerate him, just like they do for Jesus Christ, Shakyamuni Buddha, Laozi, and other saints. However, his physical body has experienced 65 cycles of seasons, and he still struggles for his own survival. Not a single person has proposed solving his survival issues so that he can dedicate himself to the welfare of humanity. Even the Chanyuan celestials who have benefited for over a decade have not collectively offered to address his basic needs. This is the sadness of the fleshly gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and saints in the human world. The true God was crucified. The true Buddha, even in old age, had to beg for food. The true celestial being couldn't survive in his homeland and wandered in foreign lands without knowing his fate. And the true saint often had to wake up at 4 in the morning to labor for survival. On the other hand, false gods, false Buddhas, false celestial beings, and false saints are comfortably supported by people. Reflect on this. Can humanity truly escape the ocean of suffering and enter a paradise on earth? People, you can't even support a living God, Buddha, celestial being, or saint during their lifetime. Can you support the thousands and millions of your descendants? Are you worthy of living in a paradise on earth? If not, you can only live